Hey there. So, I'm back. There was no question as to whether or not I would come back. I said in my post where I talked about the fact that I would be taking a bit of a break, that I would come back at some point, and I always planned to. It was just kind of uncertain when that would happen, and it's happening now. So, yeah, I hope all of you are doing well. I continued to read your comments that you would leave on my posts. Some of you would be like, "Oh, Connor, come back," and I appreciate those comments. I do. Um, so yes, thank you for those. They made me happy. But where have I been in the time that I've been gone, and what have I been doing? Well, not a whole lot, but I have been doing a few things. Um, the main thing that I've been doing since I was gone was that I started a second channel. Now, the reason I didn't shout out that second channel on this channel when I did that was just because honestly I didn't think that most of you would be interested in that channel. It centers around pretty much everything that isn't ASMR, which is what I do on this channel. And since a lot of you are here for ASMR, obviously, I just didn't think that most of you would be interested. And to be fair, I didn't really want a bunch of people to subscribe to that new channel, but have no intention of watching those videos because I've worked on a few other channels before, and it seems like when you have a channel that has a lot of subscribers that don't watch the videos, YouTube is a lot more reluctant to recommend those videos to people outside of your subscriber base. My assumption being that if YouTube sees that even your own subscribers aren't watching the videos, then why would, an external audience want to watch them, right? So I didn't necessarily want a bunch of you guys to subscribe to that channel and then not watch those videos because they weren't of interest to you, which I wouldn't blame you for, but it's just something I didn't want to happen. So I didn't shout it out again. That was just a personal choice. But this second channel, which was originally called Miscellaneous Amusements, which is now called Priolico, I just recently renamed it. The plan, and originally why it was named Miscellaneous Amusements, was that the plan was that it was going to be just kind of like an anything channel. It was going to be the place where I post videos about pretty much anything that isn't ASMR. I got a little sidetracked in that goal originally. One of the first videos that I made on the Miscellaneous Amusements channel did pretty well, and it was centering around Battlefield 6, which at the time was very new. And that just kind of motivated me to keep making Battlefield 6 videos. And so at this point, that channel is pretty much just about Battlefield 6. But that is bound to change pretty soon, just because I've really gotten burnt out on Battlefield 6. I enjoyed it for the first few months that it was out. Honestly, at this point, looking back, I think that if you played the beta of Battlefield 6, you really played the game at its peak. I think the beta was truly the best moments of the game. That was when the game was like the most cohesive. Every update since then has like made the game worse in some way, in my opinion. I mean, actually, my brother and I were just playing it for the first time in like a few months, just yesterday, I think, or maybe the day before. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, they actually have made some improvements, and it has been months since I played the game, so I have to admit that not everything is getting worse with it. But my general enjoyment of the game and my interest in Battlefield 6 has steeply dropped off. So I'm not really interested in making videos about that anymore. However, I am working on an extensive video on that channel, and that has been the thing that I've been working on for like the past 3 months at this point. I don't actually remember when exactly my last video was uploaded to the Miscellaneous Amusements. It's now called Priolico. For the remainder of this video, I'll call it Priolico because that's what it's called now, just to alleviate any confusion. I don't remember when the last time I uploaded on the Priolico channel was. I think it was probably around like 2 months ago at this point. And since that video came out, and potentially even slightly before that video came out, I've been working on this really long video that I plan to upload to the Priolico channel. Funnily enough, if you recall, now this was like 2 years ago, I think, at this point, which is crazy. But on this channel, I had plans, and I was talking in reference to doing this at some point. I had plans to release a video where I would talk about what I would consider to be one of the like pinnacle ideal first person shooters, right? The type of game that I always wanted to play but never really existed. I had plans to make that video. I made a script for it. I remember talking on this channel about how I had made the script and that I was working on finalizing that video, and it never came out. Like I said, that was roughly like 2 years ago. I wouldn't blame any of you for forgetting about that because it's really obscure. But yeah, I never made that video on this channel. The reason I never made that video on this channel was because I just couldn't figure out a way to read the script. I was hanging up pieces of paper with the script written on it with clothes hangers next to the camera, and it just never felt natural. Because all of the videos on this channel they're just off the cuff rambles for the most part, right? That was the first time I had ever tried to make a script for a video, and I just could not find a way to deliver it in a way that felt natural. So I just kind of gave up on that. But with this other channel, with Priola Co., I'm not speaking to the camera. It's usually just a voiceover over gameplay or whatever, right? So needing to read the script while also like performing for the camera is, it's not a problem anymore. I can just read the script. So I've been doing scripted videos on that channel more, and that lends itself more to that style of video, I would say. So it's just kind of funny that this video I'm working on, which at this point is around 2 hours long, I just recorded the voiceover for it like a week ago or so. And at this point, I'm just working on all of the visuals because I'm going really hard on this video. I mean, it's funny because this video has a really high chance of just getting like 100 views, which would be really sad. But I am working really hard on this video. I'll throw up some of the clips from that video that I've kind of finished so far. I mean, they're not fully finished. I'm not 100% sure if everything is final at this point, but what I've made so far, I'll show you here. It's probably going to be playing over what I'm saying right now. But yeah, needless to say, I'm working really hard on that video. I'm doing stuff in Blender for like the visuals and everything. I want it to look really unique and really professional. So yeah, I'm going really over the top on that video in the hopes that it does well, but also just because, it's just kind of fun to devote yourself to something like 100%, which is something that I haven't done a lot on this channel, and I think is kind of a part of why I eventually kind of got burnt out on this channel in the first place, was just because I'm being completely honest, the videos I put on this channel were exceptionally low effort, like about as minimal effort as you could possibly get. I feel a little ashamed to admit that, but it is the truth. I mean, I'm literally just standing in front of the camera talking. These videos would never get edited. It's always just one take, which I'm sure people appreciate because it makes it feel more natural. And that, there is something to be said about that. But at the end of the day, these videos were not a testament to what I was capable of as a creator. And I think that contributed to why I kind of got burnt out, or just kind of wanted a change of scenery, right? I wanted something that would allow me to push myself, I guess, and that's not to say that ASMR is, a space where you're not able to push yourself. You absolutely could. It's 100% on me that I don't put more effort into these videos. I've seen people that do like role plays that are like super intense with like costumes and sets and everything, and it's like a lot of effort that goes into that stuff. So, I mean, I could always do stuff like that too, but I just never did. I feel like that's mostly down to just motivation. I don't have necessarily the motivation to create a really intense role play video for ASMR, but I'm a big nerd when it comes to video games and stuff like that. And so that's the stuff that matters to me. That's like this type of stuff that I am willing to go above and beyond. So that's why I am trying so hard with this video that I'm working on for that channel. But yeah, like I said, I've been working on that video for the past couple months now. It hasn't been just like constant work, obviously, but you know, still, I'm putting thousands of times of more effort into this video than I ever put into any of my ASMR videos. Again, I hope I don't offend anyone by saying that. I'm not trying to say that I'm just like feeding you guys garbage, although I do feel like maybe that's kind of the truth. But I'm sure, like I said, that plenty of you appreciate the more like naturalistic feel of my videos that I upload to this channel. So that's just kind of what I've always done. But yes, that's where I've been. That's what I've been doing. Also, that video is not done yet, and there is still quite a bit of work that needs to be done making that video. So while yes, I am back, I'm making this video right now, I wouldn't expect the return to my old upload schedule. I always strived to do 3 videos a week before, and I didn't always reach that goal, but I feel like I at least somewhat got there. I would not expect that level of commitment to this channel from this point forward. I'm going to continue to work mostly on that video for the other channel, because that is my focus right now. But for all intents and purposes, I am back. I will occasionally make videos for this channel when I feel the motivation to do so. Certainly going to be uploading with more frequency than I have been for the past, I don't even know how long. I guess the last video I made on this channel, I think, was the Battlefield 6 beta video, which was like in August, if I'm not mistaken. So like August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Like 8 months ago. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, so it's not going to be another 8 months before another video is all I'm saying, but just don't expect 3 videos a week, okay? But you guys are technically the first that get to see anything with this video that I've been working on. So, I mean, there's kind of something there, right? Anyway. So the video that I've been working on, like I said, is in regards to, I mean, in the video I'm talking in reference to Battlefield 6, because that channel, like I said, already kind of centers around Battlefield 6. But it is mostly just me talking about a game that I've just wanted to play, right? And like I was mentioning just a bit before, you know, I was really into Battlefield 6 when it came out, but at this current moment, I am almost completely uninterested in Battlefield 6. Why is that? Because it's so generic, and the video that I'm working on will talk about that a lot more. But yeah, it's also kind of funny. I can't remember exactly if I ever did end up making a video about this. I want to say that I did, but I'm not 100% sure. But I want to say I made a video before Battlefield 6 had even come out, even before the beta. Like, this was months before the beta. This was around the time that we were starting to see leaks. I think it was around the time, I remember EA released some like shareholder conference where they showed a clip of like a very early work in progress build of Battlefield 6. And they were showing it in context of like the portal mode, and they were talking about how they're incorporating AI systems so that like players can create their own experiences instantaneously. And I remember like the demonstration they were showing was like the players were playing in this like cardboard box playground where it was just the whole map was made out of cardboard boxes, and then there was like a big cardboard box pyramid. I don't know if you remember that. That's again really obscure knowledge. That happened like over a year ago at this point. I think around that time was when people started talking about Battlefield 6. That was well before like a lot of the big leaks were coming out with the labs build, and that was well before the beta. And it was around that time that I said that I was just not interested in Battlefield 6 at that moment, because I knew deep down that they weren't going to try anything new. I knew it was just going to be the same old conquest, the same old, you know, vehicles and the same gameplay loop, right? Then months later, the beta comes out, and I was really hyped for it. I was getting in there. I was playing it, and I was having a good time. And I'll admit, I was having a good time. I did enjoy my time playing it. But at this point in time, I have to look back and realize that I was right. I was right months before the game came out. The reason I'm not that interested in Battlefield 6 anymore, only a few months after the launch of the game, is because it doesn't try anything new. It is just conquest in the same game modes, in the same guns, in the same vehicles, in the same gameplay. It's just boring. That's the problem. And that's what I'm going into depth with this new video that I'm working on, is just talking about how novelty in game design is really important. And a lot of games just don't even bother. They just do the same formula over and over again, and it's really boring. And it leads to just burnout, really fast burnout. One of the things that I'm saying at the end of this video is talking about how when you play a game that lacks novelty, it just rehashes the same ideas over and over again. Despite the fact that this game might be new, Battlefield 6 was new. When you pick it up for the first time, it doesn't feel like you're playing a brand new game. It feels like you're playing a game you've already played to death. And that explains a lot of why I have been burnt out on Battlefield 6 specifically. It doesn't spark any interest in me. It's not new enough. It doesn't try anything new. The game mode isn't different. It's not fresh. I don't know. I'll admit, like I said, that for the first few months, it was pretty awesome. I guess just I kind of got swept up with the hype. Everybody else was really playing the game and having a good time. Like I said, I truly think the beta was the best time. Looking back, that was the moment where like everybody was the most on board with the game. The sentiment regarding the game was at its peak at that point. It also had like a peak player base at that point. Because if you look at the Steam chart numbers, and obviously that's not perfectly indicative of the player base as a whole, but it's relatively, it's an indication at least. Player numbers have dropped off hugely. So it's pretty clear that during the beta and that time, that was when the game was at its peak. And I think if you played the game at that time, you really experienced the best of Battlefield 6. They did just recently release like a 2026 roadmap for Battlefield 6. And I'll admit that like some of the stuff that they're adding, if not all of the stuff that they talked about in that video, is cool. They're talking about adding new maps. They're talking about adding new features like proximity chat. That's great to see. I can't believe proximity chat wasn't in the game to begin with, honestly. But it's good that they're finally adding it down the line. They're showing like naval warfare with maps with more water and boats and stuff like that. And that's all cool. But the problem is that it's still just conquest. The problem, and again, I'll talk about this in the video that I'm working on, but the problem of Battlefield 6 isn't the content. It isn't the quantity of content. It isn't the live service or how much content they're adding with each season. It's none of that. You could add infinite guns, you could add infinite vehicles, you could add infinite maps to Battlefield 6, and it would still be boring to me because it's still the same game. You're still playing Conquest. The game mode isn't different. It's not unique. It's still the same thing. And it has inherent flaws, mostly because it's not novel anymore. That's the true deep down inherent flaw of Battlefield, Call of Duty, any of these big first-person shooters that we've played dozens of times, and they're on the fucking 20th game in the franchise, It's just that it's been done. I want to see something entirely new, and nothing that they talked about in the 2026 roadmap was entirely new. It's just adding content to the existing formula, which, again, is good. Like I said, I can look at that video and I can see the things that they're adding and say, oh, those are good things. But deep down, I know that those things aren't going to reignite my interest in the game. I mean, Season 2 came out between when I kind of got burnt out on Battlefield 6 and now, and that season didn't bring me back at all. I mean, they added like 2 new maps. I don't care. They added a bunch of new weapons. I don't care. It's just, I can't get excited for a game that I've already played for thousands of hours. And I'm not talking about Battlefield 6. I'm talking about every Battlefield. I'm talking about every Call of Duty. I'm talking about every Halo. I'm talking about every first-person shooter I've ever played, because they all play the same. Nobody's trying anything new, and that's the problem. So, the question is, if I'm not playing Battlefield 6, what am I playing? Because I'm playing something. And the truth is, Starfield. I didn't see it coming either. Starfield is what I've been playing as of the past like month or so. Uh, Maybe not a month. I don't know. They just recently released a new update and DLC for Starfield, and that kind of made me go, I'll give it another try. Why not? The last time I played Starfield was like 2 years ago. When it first came out, it kind of the same deal with with Battlefield, really, where it was like, for the first 2 weeks after Starfield came out, I was obsessed. I mean, just straight up obsessed. I have like, or I had at that point, like 120 hours in the game. And I was playing like, that was like 2 weeks. You're talking like 12 to 14 days after the game came out, which means that I was playing the game for like 10 hours a day. It was bad. I was straight up obsessed with that game. And I'll admit that while the game has massive, massive flaws, I did get what I would consider like around 80 hours of just pure fun out of Starfield. But talking about novelty in game design with Battlefield 6 and how it doesn't have any, Starfield is 100 times worse in that regard. Starfield feels like a game that was made in 2002. It is the most like egregiously outdated game to have ever come out within the past like 10 years. I mean, it is the design decisions were so bad. And I made plenty of videos roughly after the launch talking about a lot of the problems that I had with the game, like the stealth design and the lack of like dynamic gameplay and how like stunted and like it's not a great game. It just isn't. But admittedly, I have been playing it as of the past like couple weeks now, and I've been enjoying it, I have to admit. Now, my load is heavily modified. So that helps a lot. I don't know that I would have much interest in playing Starfield vanilla, but with mods, it's actually not too bad, I'll admit. And here's the real reason that I'm playing Starfield isn't because the game is suddenly good, because really it isn't. The update that they made and the DLC that they added just recently, it makes the game better, but it's still a pile of shit. It's still a terrible game, let's be real. The real reason I'm playing Starfield is because I am a big space nerd. And when it comes to space games, sci-fi, space RPGs, that sort of thing, the way I see it, you have 4 options, and every single one of them has some massive glaring flaw that makes it really just not a very good game. So your 4 options are Starfield, obviously. Then you have Elite Dangerous, you have No Man's Sky, and then you have Star Citizen. Let me just go through them really quick. All right, so let's start with Starfield, right? Starfield is, I mean, to list the flaws of Starfield, we would be here for 10 hours, right? But the biggest problems with Starfield are the writing is atrocious. Nobody in the game acts like a real human being. And also just the general gameplay, the way they use procedural generation is just weird to me. How like it'll generate a POI and it's just that POI. Like they didn't do any sort of like randomization with the POI system, which is weird to me considering that there's an entire like base building system built into the game. Like you can build your own settlements and your own POIs. So they obviously have a system where like each of the like modules of a POI is individual. Like you could build your own thing. So why they didn't just like incorporate that into the procedural generation system so that it can generate completely random and unique points of interest, I don't know. But that's bad because every single POI is pretty much exactly the same. And then just like I said, the general gameplay, like the shooting mechanics, I mean, they're decent, but they're really far behind what I would consider acceptable in like 2025, 2026 now. I mean, the game came out in 2023, right? Which is crazy, the fact that it's already been out for like 2 years now. A little over 2 years, actually, but whatever. That's the flaw of Starfield. The good part of Starfield is that it's a space game, right? If that's the type of game that you want, like I said, you really don't have many options. Then you have Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous has a really good like flight simulator model. It's got really good space combat. The flaw of Elite Dangerous is that that's all it has. You can't get out of your spaceship. You aren't your person, like you aren't the pilot in the ship, and you can't walk around your ship or walk around space stations or do anything else. Like you are the ship for all intents and purposes. And that's all there is. Which is just, it doesn't quite scratch the same itch, right? Also in Elite Dangerous, you can't fly down to planets with atmosphere. They did kind of add like planetary landings, but I think even at this point it's still all just no atmosphere planets, so kind of lame. I want to say that they did add some sort of like first person shooter mechanic where you can actually get out of the pilot seat and walk around in Elite Dangerous, but I haven't played with that myself. It's been a long time since I played Elite Dangerous in general. And as far as I have heard, those mechanics that they added with some update are not particularly great because the game was never designed to do that. It's a flight simulator. So they're just tacking on like a first-person shooter mechanic onto a flight simulator, and it just doesn't really work that well. So that's the flaw of Elite Dangerous. It's just very extreme into the flight side of things, much less of like an RPG. It's just kind of like a flight combat simulator, basically, but in space. Which, I mean, fair is fair, it does that very well, but it doesn't fully scratch the itch of like a sci-fi space RPG type of game. Then you have No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky on the surface seems like it has it all. It's got, planetary landings, planets with atmosphere. It's got seamless space to ground travel, that sort of thing. That's another flaw with Starfield that I didn't mention, is all of the loading screens and everything. It's not a seamless experience. But No Man's Sky is a seamless experience. You can go pretty much anywhere. What are the flaws of No Man's Sky? The biggest flaw of No Man's Sky is the fact that it has taken the direction of like a Minecraft style game, which I have just personally grown out of being interested in. I will admit that as a kid, when I was a lot younger, like in middle school, if you had given me a game like No Man's Sky, I would have been all over that. That would have been my favorite game of all time. When I was younger, I was totally into that sort of thing. Nowadays, it's just really hard to play a game like Minecraft. I just can't do it. People talk about getting that like yearly urge to play Minecraft, and I do get that myself occasionally. Maybe not every year, maybe every 2 years or something, I don't know. But I'll boot up Minecraft every now and then, and I'll start playing it. And within like 10 minutes of playing it, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? It's just, I've reached a point in my life where I can no longer justify playing a game like Minecraft where you are spending a bulk of your time just collecting resources. The gameplay loop of Minecraft is you collect resources to get better gear, and you get better gear to collect resources faster. That's the gameplay loop, and then you can build stuff, and that's basically it. That's kind of the direction that it seems like No Man's Sky has taken. Now, I mean, there have been like a quadrillion updates to No Man's Sky since the last time I played it. So I think they have added some like RPG mechanics, but I still think that a bulk of the gameplay boils down to like resource collection and exploration rather than like interacting with NPCs or like strict combat encounters, that sort of thing, which is more what I'm looking for. Like I said, I can't justify spending time playing a game where I'm just like breaking blocks, right? Like I can't do it anymore. It feels like I'm dying in real time when I play games like that. So it's just not what I'm looking for, unfortunately. I would also say that while I can appreciate the art style of No Man's Sky, it's not my preferred art style. I prefer the more realistic look of the other three games that I've mentioned here. And actually, that's something that Starfield has going for it a lot. I really do like the art style of Starfield, whereas a lot of other sci-fi games will go really hard into that futuristic technology, like future tech aesthetic, whereas Starfield has a much more like retro future. It's not like fully retro future, like like 60s retro future, but it's like a very grounded retro future. It feels like a very real possible future scenario. It takes a lot of inspiration from like NASA and stuff like that. And I can really appreciate that art style. So I will say that that is one thing that Starfield has going for it a lot. But that's the flaw with No Man's Sky. And so that brings us to the final game, which is Star Citizen. What is Star Citizen's greatest flaw? Well, first of all, let's just point out that on the surface, Star Citizen, a lot like No Man's Sky, it seems like it has it all. Like on paper, you just go down the checklist. It's got, space to ground travel, seamless. It's got planets with atmosphere. You can get out of the pilot seat. You can walk around your ship. You can walk around planets. You can walk around space stations. It's got first-person shooter mechanics. It's got other vehicles. It's got a ton of ships. It's got space combat. It's got a decent simulator flight model, that sort of thing. It's got a good aesthetic. It's got realistic graphics. It's probably the best-looking game of all four of these games. It's also the most ambitious. Like it has the best looking like planetary generation tech in it. That sort of thing. What is the flaw of Star Citizen? The flaw is that it isn't a fucking game. It doesn't exist. All those things are on paper. Technically, yes, you can download Star Citizen and you can play it, but it isn't a game. I'm just going to say it. It's not a game. I've seen videos where people play it and make it look really fun. Bed Bananas specifically has a lot of videos on his channel. Well, not a lot, but he's got a few very long videos on his channel that make Star Citizen look like this awesome game. But it isn't that. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's a me problem. I don't know. But when I play Star Citizen, and I've only tried like a handful of times because the game is so goddamn buggy, it just doesn't fucking work. It's not a game. It looks very good. It's like a screenshot simulator. So if you really like taking like astronomy pictures and stuff like that, it's decent at that, I would say. But anything else, if you try to play it like as a game, it just doesn't work. You go to like buy ammo from the gun store and you're like buying the magazines and then you buy the ammo to put in the magazines. Or actually, no, in Star Citizen, the magazines just come preloaded. But anyway, you buy the magazines and then you try to like put them on your person because your like armor has like gear slots and stuff. And then you try to put it on there and it just doesn't work. Like it just refuses to like go on your stuff. And then you try to like loot bodies and that doesn't work. And then you go to like a settlement, like you accept this mission. It's like, go to this settlement and wipe out these bandits or whatever. And you go to the settlement and the bandits are just standing there, practically like T-posed, but they're not actually T-posed. They're just standing there. And you shoot at them and they don't respond. And then you shoot at them more and then they just die. It's like, this is not a game. So Star Citizen is just not a game. That's really the flaw of Star Citizen. Also, Star Citizen is an MMO, which comes with a ton of its own problems, like the just entirely terrible like progression rate of MMOs. Every MMO is built upon this idea of there being like this very fine-tuned interplayer economy. And a big part of that is making it so that no single player can get super rich super quickly, because that would ruin the economy. If every player has the ability to generate massive amounts of wealth in the game, then you have basically inflation, and then you have a game that doesn't really work in that way. So you see this with every MMO, whether it's like RuneScape or whatever, where it's just this big grind fest. And again, it kind of in the same way that Minecraft isn't interesting to me because I feel like I'm dying in real time when I'm playing that. I just cannot justify playing an MMO anymore. I don't have the willpower to sit there and play like a second virtual life instead of just living my real life. Like, I can appreciate, I guess, that like because it's a space game and it's a space RPG, it's like giving people the chance to live a second life within this world that they want to exist in, right? But fuck that. I just have no interest in that personally. I mean, that is the opposite of what I want. I want something to be fun. That's all I want. I just want to plun. I just want to play a fun game. And MMOs just aren't fun to me anymore. It takes way too long to do anything. And the rate at which you like progress and the rate at which you get wealth is just so slow. It's so slow. So I don't like that. That's the benefit of like a single player game, because that doesn't matter. There is no interplayer economy. The player is the main character. And obviously there is still a progression curve of a game like Starfield, but it is thousands of times faster than a game like an MMO like Star Citizen or RuneScape or whatever. Just because that's the way they operate. And to me, that sort of game is significantly more fun. Now, technically, Star Citizen does have a single-player component with the Squadron 42, and in fact, they released that like big trailer for it 2 years ago, and I'm pretty sure in that they said that Squadron 42 would come out in 2026, and it's currently 2026, and I haven't heard a fucking peep about that. So will it come out? Who knows? But maybe that could be interesting if it has like all of the features of the multiplayer mode, but in a single player environment where the player doesn't have to worry about, the interplayer economy and the really fucking slow progression rate. That could be interesting. And I would probably check that out if it came out. I would still be interested to see if the game is fun, because again, that is the most important aspect of playing a game, is if it's fun. And if the NPCs still don't fight back or anything like they do in the multiplayer mode, then it's still not going to be fun. But I don't know, maybe that wouldn't be as much of an issue if you weren't in an online environment. I think a big part of why the NPCs don't work in Star Citizen is because it's all server side, and the servers on Star Citizen run at like 10 hertz or some shit. It's like just abysmal. So yeah, that's the big flaw of Star Citizen, is that it just doesn't fucking work. So that's, as a big nerd that loves sci-fi and space RPGs and that sort of that, like that's the pinnacle game of all the game ideas that I've ever wanted to play, right? First person shooter, whatever. There's a lot of awesome game ideas. Real-time strategy games like Red Alert 2. A lot of great games. But there is one for me that stands above the rest, and it is this type of game. It's like a space RPG game where you fly around, go to different planets, you can get out of your ship and shoot people or bounty hunt or trade or, mine or whatever. That's the type of game I want to play. And unfortunately, not a single person has ever, or a single studio or development team has ever made a good version of this game. It doesn't exist. None of them have ever done it, which is just a little sad. But again, that's why I have currently resorted to playing Starfield, because it is, at this point, kind of the lesser of all the evils, right? It's the lowest common denominator of this type of game. And it's the one that I own right now and have like immediate access to. I own Elite Dangerous and I own No Man's Sky 2, but I own those on my PC versus on my Xbox. And I just prefer playing games on my Xbox these days. So I don't really want to download those games on my computer. So yeah, I've been playing Starfield. And you know what? It's not good. It's still really bad. It's still an incredibly flawed and befuddling game. But the latest update has made it better, I will say. The latest update makes it so that you can actually fly around the solar system seamlessly. And actually, the funny thing is that nothing has changed with the game, right? You could actually always do that. I remember when the game came out, there were people that did fly around the solar system in real time. You could always do it. It just took fucking 100 years before because of the speeds. So all they've done with this update is just allowed you to go faster. That's all that's changed, is you can go around faster, so you can get from point A to point B faster. But the solar systems were always like a seamlessly realized space, right? No pun intended. So nothing has really changed with how the game like loads the cells and everything. They've just made it so that it's easier to interact with that like gameplay. But even doing that has been an improvement. The weird thing is like, why wasn't that the way the game was from the start? And if you're able to do that, because there are obviously seamless loading screens. And when I say seamless loading screen, or I guess I should say hidden loading screen, it's this idea that the game is loading something, but without like pulling you out to a physical loading screen, which is what Starfield does a lot, where you decide to land on a planet and it'll quickly show a splash screen of the loading screen with like a tip at the bottom and a little loading bar. That's a loading screen. But there are plenty of hidden loading screens in game design and now currently in Starfield that makes me wonder why didn't they realize that that's like 100 million times better? Like, I don't understand how they could have made that mistake. If Starfield had from the start hidden loading screens for like every loading screen that was in the game, I think people would have loved Starfield. I mean, it still has objective flaws, even if you took out all the loading screens. And in the videos that I made a long time ago talking about the flaws of Starfield, I talked about how the loading screens were actually not one of the biggest flaws of Starfield. And I stand by that. I really don't think that the loading screens are the worst part of Starfield. I think it has much bigger problems. But the loading screens were an easy way to just point at it and be like, this game is outdated. It's really old-fashioned, And it admittedly does impact the experience of playing. As a person who originally thought that the loading screens had a very minimal impact on the experience, and now I have the ability to play the game with far fewer of them, I will admit that the experience is improved much more than I would have expected. So, yeah, I just don't understand how they would not have designed the game from the start to be more seamless. Again, it doesn't even necessarily need to be seamless. It just needs to appear seamless. And they've obviously cracked the code when it comes to that with this latest update, because they're doing that. You are loading between cells. When you're orbiting around a planet, that is a cell. And technically the entire solar system is like a part of that cell, but each planet is also its own individual cell. And you can now travel between those without ever entering a loading screen. So clearly there is some sort of hidden loading screen that is happening. So if they can do that, then surely they can do that with all of the other loading screens too. So yeah, maybe this update is them like suggesting like, hey, that's coming. We're working on it. I don't know. I mean, it's been like 2 years, so I don't know how it took them that long to figure it out. But maybe, who knows? Some mods that I think are really important that I've been using that make the experience way better. I don't remember the exact names of them. Maybe I'll put them in the description. But there is a mod that makes it so that when you jump to a new star system, rather than the default vanilla experience, when you jump to a new star system, you will jump to like the main planet of that star system. So like when you're jumping to the Jemison star system, or is it? Or no, it's Alpha Centauri, I guess, yeah. And then you jump to Jemison is the planet. I don't know. Anyway, when you jump to that star system, you'll already be in the orbit of that planet because it's like the main planet of that system. So they just assume that that's where you want to go. There is a mod that makes it so that when you jump to a new star system, you jump to the star rather than any planet within that system. And then the main thing that does is it gives you more opportunities to actually use this more seamless mode of transportation in the game. Because actually, in the vanilla experience, even though they've added this ability to fly around the solar system seamlessly, there actually aren't that many opportunities to use it, because a lot of the quests and things will have you jumping between different solar systems altogether, rather than different planets within the same solar system. There are a few quests that will do that, but I feel like a lot of them have you jumping between solar systems. And when you interact with that gameplay with the vanilla game, it just takes you right to the planet that you would need to be at. So there is no reason to use the Super Cruise mode within the solar system, which is, again, a little bit of an oversight. But with this mod, it works really well. You jump to the star, and then you can Super Cruise to whatever destination within that solar system you want to go to, and it feels really good, actually. It works really well. So that's a must-have mod. But honestly, at this point, I think I have probably over like 100 mods on my mod list. I'm playing a heavily modded version, and that does improve the experience quite a lot. There is a problem, though, when it comes to modding games. And I felt this way about Skyrim, which I've played a lot, and I've modded very heavily. And I'm starting to feel that way about Starfield now. You know, the allure of modding a game is this idea that, like, I get to be kind of like the game developer. I get to create the experience that I want that perfectly caters to my needs. And that's true. But there are two big problems with modding games. The first problem is that in order to know what mods you need or want to have in your playthrough, you have to play through the game to, like, find its faults, right? Like, you need to play it and be like, ooh, that didn't happen how I would have wanted it to, or I was unable to do this thing that I would have wanted. So then you look up like a mod that fixes that issue. But the problem with that is that you've already played through that moment and it didn't happen the way you ideally would have wanted it to. So modding is kind of this like retroactive fix to problems that have already happened, you know? So it just doesn't work that well in that instance. And then the second problem with modding is this trap that at least I fall into. I can't speak for everyone. Maybe nobody else has this problem. But there comes a point when I start heavily modding a game where I feel like I am spending significantly more time modding it and like looking for mods than I am actually playing the game. And that just doesn't feel very good, honestly. It's like it's awesome to have the control and the ability to adjust the game to how I see fit. But at the end of the day, I just want to play a fun game. And I would much rather the game just be fun by default than have me like actively working to make it good, you know? So I think there's definitely something to be said about an experience just being good by default, just being good out of the box. And Starfield still just really isn't that, unfortunately. So again, while modding is very cool and it does give you a lot of control, it's just not perfect, right? I would just much rather play a game that was good to begin with. So yeah, but regardless, I have been enjoying Starfield a little bit more lately. And again, like I said, the last time I played it was like 2 years ago. So a big part of why I'm enjoying it actually probably just has to do with the fact that I've like forgotten a lot about it. So that helps, obviously. But yeah, I would not have anticipated ever really getting back into Starfield with how I left it the last time I played it, which was not in good favor, right? I was really unimpressed with it by the time I ended my first playthrough, just because of how very outdated it felt and played. But that's what I've been playing recently. Like I said, that's mostly just because I'm a big sci-fi nerd and I don't have a lot of options. Also, with the whole like Artemis situation going on right now, it's kind of reignited my interest in space stuff temporarily. So there's that. But that's what I've been up to. With this video that I'm working on my second channel, talking about this ideal. So my plan for this video is to title it at least somewhat along the lines of the ideal or the best multiplayer first-person shooter that doesn't exist, right? And before I even know whether or not that video will do well, like I said, I've already invested a ton of time and energy into making this video, and it has a very decent chance of getting like 100 views, which would be unfortunate. But it is what it is. At this point, I'm making it just to make it. I just want to get my voice out there, my thoughts out there. At this point, honestly, I don't even care if it does well, and I have plans to kind of turn it into a series of sorts where I will talk about, different game ideas that I've had that I really enjoy, or not necessarily even enjoy, but just think would be fun. I can't enjoy them because they don't exist, right? They've never been done before, or at least haven't been done well before. Like I said, the space RPG game exists. There have been multiple attempts at it, but none of them are good. They're all super flawed in their own way. So, yeah. But one of those videos in that series, the best type of game that doesn't exist, I think I will end up making one about like a space RPG type of game. This first video that I'm working on is more of like a multiplayer first-person shooter. I also have plans to do one of just a single-player first-person shooter. And also, I think making a video about the best RTS, real-time strategy game, could also be fun. Because RTSs are awesome. I remember my brother and we were really big fans of Red Alert 2. We also played a lot of Empire Earth, specifically the second one, Empire Earth 2. I love the idea of real-time strategy games, but I feel like a lot of them are just not that good. Red Alert 2 is honestly the pinnacle of like that genre, but it came out back in the year 2000. Like, it's been 26 years since that game came out, and nobody's thought of a way to make it better or like improve on that idea. Like, how is the best version of the game from 26 years ago, right? So I think it would be fun to make a video talking about that. So I have plans to make more of those types of videos, even before I know whether or not they're going to do well and are worth the investment. But like I said, at this point, I don't care. I just want to make these videos because I think they're fun. And it has been fun. Like I said, being more creative and being able to do that, like to express more creativity with this video than I usually do with these ASMR videos it has been fun. So I am excited to finalize that video. It's still a ways away. I have a lot of work to do when it comes to actually animating each of the like visuals and everything. Like I said, I'm doing that all in Blender, so it's all like 3D and everything, and it takes time. It takes a good amount of time to make each of those things. And like I said, at this point, the video is around 2 hours long. So that's 2 hours of visuals that I not only have to animate, but I also have to render. And currently the render time is like 2 to 3 seconds per frame. And I'm doing 30 frames per second. So 30 frames per second is 30 times 60, which is 180 plus another 0. So 1800. That's 1800 frames per minute times 120 minutes. So you're talking about, it's a lot of frames. It's a lot of render time is all I'm trying to say. It's going to take a long time to render all of it. But it'll be worth it. I'm enjoying it. I'm just saying it's going to take a little bit of time. So like I said, I'm going to be working on that mainly. So that's why you shouldn't expect too many videos on this channel in the meantime. But like I said, when the motivation hits me, I will make the occasional video on this channel as I continue to work on that. And who knows, maybe I'll give you guys some updates on that. Like I said, you guys are the first to ever see anything or even know that this is in the works. Outside of my family, of course, I have told them. But publicly speaking, you guys are the first to know that I'm working on this or to see anything of it. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. That's how things have been going. I do feel better than I did before. I've been, as of the past month or so, I've been taking, my physical health a bit more seriously. I've been exercising more than I have in the past, and that sort of thing. And that's, people talk about how when you get into the rhythm of exercising, you look forward to it. Like you enjoy the act of exercising and that feels good, right? I do not feel that way at all. When I am exercising, like when I am actively in the act of exercising, there is nothing I would want to do less than exercise. But I will say that being a person in the routine of exercising is nice. I do feel better, like as a person, just physically speaking, I feel better than I have when I'm not exercising. So that is nice. But yeah, there's people that act like, oh, I'm a runner and I run every day and I just love it. I get like the runner's high or whatever. It's like, no, no, absolutely not. Never. I've never, ever been exercising and been like, yes, this is what I want to be doing. No, just doesn't happen to me. I don't get that way. But tangentially, I do enjoy the benefits of having exercise. So that's been nice. And I feel like the space, the gap of time between my last upload and this upload, again, it's kind of the same with like Starfield, like I was talking about, where it's been so long since I played it last that it's, it's kind of nice to come back and you've forgotten some of it. It feels kind of the same way with making videos. Reignites some of my motivation, right? I'm a little less burnt out than I was before, so that's always nice. So yeah, I forget if I mentioned this. I when I started making this video, it took me like 5 takes before I finally settled on this take, because I was so out of practice. So I can't remember if I already said this or not in this video, but I do appreciate those of you who, stuck around and consistently were like, Connor, come back and make more videos. I appreciate that. It made me feel, nice. I did see those comments and I read them and I hearted them and I have enjoyed seeing them. So thank you for those. And here I am. I'm back again. So I hope all of you have been doing well as well in the time that I've been gone. And yeah, I think that'll probably do it for this video. I don't know how long this has been at this point. It's been pretty long, honestly. But I mean, that's fitting. There was a lot to talk about, I suppose. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I will catch you later.